Hi, I'm Isabel Saavedra, and you're listening to The Language Myth, a series by Langhaus. When we learn to speak, whether it's our first language or a second one, we start by talking about ourselves, then the people around us, and later, abstract ideas and concepts. You probably remember your first foreign language class. First, learning how to introduce yourself. Then, how to talk about your family and friends. And over time, how to express ideas like justice, morality, or what should be. That's how we learn from the concrete to the abstract. And what's interesting is that in our native language, we never had to memorize thousands of words to do it. So, why do we believe that to speak a new language, we need to know every single word? Today, on the Language Myth, we're challenging the idea that you need to know everything to be fluent. You don't. And that's actually great news. The belief that the more words you know, the better you speak is everywhere in school, in apps, in online courses. We were taught to study vocabulary lists like learning a language was just about collecting words. Apps sell us fluency like it's a points-based game. Flashcards, rankings, learn 10,000 words and you're fluent. But most people use between 1,000 and 3,000 words in everyday life. And with just 500 words used well, you can already have real conversations about what you think, need, and feel. What happens when you try to memorize everything? You burn out, and it never feels like enough. Just study word after word, but when it's time to speak, you freeze. Why? Because knowing a word isn't the same as being able to use it. And memorizing words out of context disconnects language from your real life. You end up learning terms, and that terms mean nothing to you. Our brains hold onto what's meaningful, not what's repeated without connection. So, what does work? Same thing that worked when you learned your first language. Learning in context. It's not just about knowing manzana means apple, but hearing ¿quieres una manzana? While someone offers you one. That moment gives the word life. Learning what you actually need. Your vocabulary should reflect your world. If you are a musician, you don't need words like hammer or invoice. You need melody, rehearsal, stage. Repeating with purpose and making mistakes. You're going to mess up, and that's part of it. You'll see the same words in a song, a meme, a conversation. That's how language sticks through real, imperfect exposure. Accepting the gaps. Even in your native language, there are words you don't know. Fluency isn't about knowing everything. It's about expressing what matters with what you have. What lies beyond the basics? Let's be honest. You don't need all the words, but that doesn't mean there isn't a lot left to discover. Once you can talk about daily life, you start to notice the things you still can't say. Your childhood memories, your hopes and dreams, your deepest desires, your emotions, feelings, contradictions. These aren't urgent parts of the language, but they are the core of what makes us human. Everyday vocabulary is just the beginning. Emotion is the ground where language truly takes root. And the beautiful part is, once you build a foundation, exploring these things doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like an invitation to inhabit language more deeply, to make it yours. Let's go back to the beginning. First, we talk about ourselves, then about others, and finally about ideas. Learning a language is about walking the same path. Fluency isn't about mastering everything. It's about growing with the language, saying more with more nuance, with more humanity. So, if you ever feel like you're moving slowly, remember, Rome wasn't spoken in a day. Speak with what you have. The rest will come, word by word, story by story. Thank you for listening to Langhaus, the language myth. If you enjoyed this episode, you can follow me on Spotify, Podimo, Amazon Music, and also on YouTube. And if you like to support this project, you'll find me on Instagram at underscore Langhaus and on Facebook as Langhaus. See you next time. And remember, there are parts of you that only come alive in another language.